All right, so here's an interesting thing with Bitcoin. Very interesting pattern for anyone who's new to trading, who's new to Bitcoin in particular. You should really memorize this type of pattern. So this is kind of like an ascending, not ascending, a symmetrical triangle pattern, right? So you notice how it's been following this trend line religiously, creating higher lows, higher lows, higher lows. And then we hit the breakout point, right? So, and I am recording this. So essentially, yesterday I sent out a trailer with my entire game plan for this. So, I've been playing the waves in this consolidation pattern, looking at the immediate trend lines as my, line in the sand type of thing. This is more like cutting out at a breakdown of support. So it's effectively, I'd cut, I'd buy the dip, I'd cut, I'd buy the dip. Sometimes there's only a little bit of gain. Like here, I think I cut out probably around here, and I bought the dip probably around here, so I caught a bit of the meat. Here was a bit bigger. I think I cut out here, and probably bought the dip somewhere in here. And the actually was like 21 something area. So this definitely caught some more of this meat here of the trade. As the range gets tighter, then obviously the trade setups are not as good. So I cut out early on this one. So I was, early bird on cutting out. I wasn't messing around, especially since this could have rolled into head and shoulders. And then buying back in was a little bit later to the trigger. Buying back in. So kind of I got in like right under 2400 area. As this support broke down, I cut it. And yesterday when I sent out that my plan, my trade alert, I said you could wait for the breakout point. I personally start scaling in and adding to my position yesterday. But the safer play or waiting for confirmation is just waiting for his breakout point. So we now, if we zoom in, we now have a breakout. And if we get down to the minutia here, we kind of, retraced a little bit. And I personally, at this point, I think if we build up momentum, I think this is the point to stop trading the waves and just wait for new highs if this is the real deal, right? So anyone who is trading this or observing this, you can play around with the market. I mean, there's some exits that would have been even more perfect, would have been better. Like, for example, this immediate trend line, the best exit on this breakdown would have been like right here on the bounce, right? As prior support, trend line, turn resistance. This would have been the best exit. The depths were fairly good. So moving forward, there's really kind of one or two things that I can see if we continue on this trajectory, right? I always use the word if, even though I have a hypothesis and a leaning towards a direction. I always use the word if because you never know, right? Who knows? Maybe like tomorrow we get some random black swan event, some exchange gets hacked, or Jihan decides to fork the network or do something crazy, and then it invalidates everything, right? So but so the fundamentals could always throw a wrench, but you also have to base things on what the technicals tell you. So so ultimately, I'm just going off of this immediate fib, and as I mentioned, I kind of like to lay out a game plan, well in advance. So for those of you who've been trading with us for the past few months, you'll know that 4,000 has kind of always been an area that I was striving for. Now, things got a little bit dicey here. We're definitely on the edge here with this possible head and shoulders, right? What I would have liked to have seen instead of more consolidation and chop, because obviously the range, like I was still able to buy in cheaper and make a little money here, but ultimately it would have been nicer to have a V bottom and just hit straight up into that area. And obviously as the range gets tighter and tighter, it's no longer good to trade anymore. So for me, it's kind of like, you know, someone asks like, where's the cutoff point? You know, where would one cut out? And yeah, like, you know, if we were to flop, the cutoff point would be anywhere below this trend line. Now, I cut out a bit early on the breakdown of support because I suspected we were going to retest these lower lines. And just to manage risk, you know, I mean, if things rolled over and it was a dead cat bounce, I'd much rather cut out here, wait for confirmation, come in closer to a break even, than to just wait and cut out down here and then have like a big loss, right? Not a big loss, but you know, I don't like taking 10% haircuts type of thing. Now I feel it looks like we're getting continuation. I would say anyone who doesn't have any Bitcoin, in my opinion, if I was in cash right now, in my opinion, I would be longing this breakout. If you wait for too much confirmation, you're going to end up buying like up here, right? Does that mean that it can't flop? Does that mean that it might not hit those targets or whatever? Sure, right? Anything's possible. You have to be flexible. Don't marry your analysis, you know. Have a working hypothesis, have a plan, a strategy ahead of time, like a chess player. But you know, be flexible. Obviously, if we got some random black swan and next thing you know, the price dumps down here, well, you know, probably not a good idea to necessarily hold. You know, as we get a little bit more momentum, so if we start to break this area, this is the next breakout area right here. So I like the early bird entry. So this is with my cash hedge. I'm not in a margin long, but you know, I've started scaling in my cash hedge. And you know, this is another breakout point. We break above 2800, right? And then here's another breakout point. And you know, I might add to it. Like for example, if we did something like this, like let's say we come up here, we retest 3000, and then we pulled back and had a dip that retests to 2800 or the prior resistance over here, that would probably be confirmation enough for me to add some margin. Probably just still low, you know, maybe like 0.5x or 1x. You know, I tend to be very conservative with my margin. I like to have wiggle room, some breathing room. I don't want to be on the bleeding edge of liquidation. Like basically, you know, a risk of liquidation is never a risk I'm willing to take, is what it comes down to. Losing everything in my trading account is never a risk that I feel comfortable with. So I'm always conservative on margin. And that's just me. Everyone has to do that for themselves. If you only have a little bit in the trading account and you want to go YOLO 10x to maximize that, then maybe that's a different strategy. But if you have money in your trading account that you're not comfortable and losing, then you have to be kind of conservative on the margin. You know, tops, if I'm feeling really bullish, tops I'll go up to like 3x tops, you know, and that's it. So now here's the thing. I am not going to, there's basically going to be two things that'll trigger me an exit on this long, right? Three things. One of three things needs to happen. I'll just change the color of this. Oh. Let's just change it to yellow. All right. One of three things needs to happen. Either someone's saying my target's confirmed by Goldman Sachs. I hope that's a good thing. I presume they... Let me just take a little peek what they said. Business Insider. Let's see. Nice. Okay, that's cool. Okay. As far as... Okay, cool. Well, I guess in this case, I definitely agree with their hypothesis. And this is a working hypothesis I've had for months, right? This isn't something random that I just came up with. Like, I've been talking about 4,000 since we broke out. In fact, some people on Twitter thought I was crazy because we were only at 1,500 when I started talking about that target. And some people are like, oh, well, you know, maybe, and I don't know, that seems a little aggressive or whatever. I say, hey, listen, if it's a true parabolic bull trend, then you know that's the target I'm working with. I'm flexible with being wrong, but what I won't do is I'm not gonna wait for 4,000 on the nose, right? I'll sell into strength, maybe like between 38 to 4,000 or between 37 to 4,000. I don't have to like nail the top per se. But I definitely want to sell into strength this time. And I'm going to do some serious cleanup of everything. Like I said, my game plan, and listen, you know, don't, if my game plan doesn't make logical sense or you disagree with anything in my game plan, then, you know, I highly suggest creating your own game plan and doing what's comfortable for you. For my game plan, I want to be almost all out of everything except for my long-term Bitcoin investment, half my Ethereum Classic as a long-term investment, 100% of my co-founded tokens as a long-term investment because I like the guys. And the rest, I'm going to be all out of everything else. Even ICN, I don't care. Everything else I'm going to be out of entirely. All of it. Golem, all of it. I'm not going to keep any of it. That's just my plan. Will I have sold too soon? Could it go up even higher? Could it do? Sure. It definitely can, right? And so maybe for you, that formula might seem different, right? Like, so Kurt's asking about ICN. Maybe for you, ICN might be your long-term investment that you'd like to have. Maybe another token, maybe Golem, maybe some mid cap that you've accumulated, maybe maybe there's some other token that I don't need or coin that I don't even own that you have a nice sizable position that you enjoy. You really believe in a certain coin or feel bullish long term about something, then perhaps that's different for you, right? And for me, I'll keep half of my ETC full well knowing that it could probably bleed out if we hit a reversal, and I'm comfortable with that as an investment, right? I'm comfortable with that. But I'm going to sell half because, if it goes where I think it can go as the next target, then that'll be definitely a nice chunk of change that I can take off the table. So, why would I sell half? Well, because I feel like there's some confluence between the technicals and the fundamentals, right? If we continue on this trajectory, it would hit a major target that I've had based on even the larger trend of 4,000. But not only that, we have an August 1st Black Swan event. I'm all for user activated soft fork. I'm all for ripping the band-aid off. I think if people were in a free market, it's decentralized, if people can't agree on what they feel Bitcoin is, then we should hard fork and have two Bitcoins. And I'm all for that. If they want to fork and have their own type of Bitcoin, and we get to have our own type, I get to have my own type of Bitcoin or whatever, I'm going to stick with Core personally. I'm not, I've listened to Craig Wright's recent talk about threatening core because he has patented software. And if you can't afford, his words exactly, if you've been in Bitcoin since 2009 and you can't afford a $20,000 node, then piss off, right? Is essentially what he said. I say that does not align with my philosophy. Even if he was, I highly doubt he's Satoshi Nakamoto because he would have been able to sign those private keys, right? And science and math isn't going to lie, right? We don't want to hear populist politics and fancy jargon and whatever. I want to see some cryptographic keys signed from Satoshi's original wallets. So either show that or get out of town type of thing, right? And so this is the beautiful thing about crypto. You don't have to take anyone's word for anything. You don't have to trust anyone on anything. Either they can prove it with some hard math, or they can go fly kite, right? And until they prove it with some hard math, I don't care how many cute stories he tells about whatever. I don't care. That's just my personal opinion. If you feel differently and you're like a big Craig fan or whatever, then that's fine, right? Now, so that's just me. That's just me. But so far, I'm not really into. I feel Bitcoin Unlimited was buggy, untested code. Jihan is running patented software called ASIC Boost to exploit a bug that Segregated Witness would fix. The malleability bug or whatever, so you can get 20% higher returns. Obviously, that's incentive to block Segregated Witness. And I don't. It's open source software, right? If Satoshi Nakamoto is truly a patent troll, we wouldn't be where we are today, right? So I just have a really, really hard time thinking that Satoshi would be a patent troll and threaten patent trolling, right? So if we can part paths and end the drama and have two chains, I'm all for that. I don't care. And if that means max chaos, max carnage in the markets, then so be it. Bring it on. Game on. Let's do this. Let's roll the dice and play. Let's play the game. I'm not scared of that chaos. I welcome it. My sword is sharpened. My shield is shined. I'm ready for it, right? Let's just stop the drama, rip the Band-Aid off, and get this show on the road, right? So let's stop arguing and complaining about. Let's all put our money where our mouth is, and take some action and make something happen, right? And this is a beautiful thing with the free market and with decentralization. Nobody has to be forced into anything. Everyone as an individual can still choose what they want to participate in, what they back up with their dollars, with their opinions or whatever. And we all get to choose, and we can part paths. And guess what? Ethereum and Ethereum Classic, they parted paths, and I've made good money on both of those markets. And both of those markets have actually grown and have gone up incredibly in market cap and value. So actually, I saw it as a win-win. People got to part paths. Everyone got to make money. Everyone who knew how to trade or invest properly got to make money. And we actually got more value out of it. So I'm okay with that. And if that means we got a little bit of blood in the markets, then wow, think of the bounce plays. Think of reaccumulation. Can we get the bear trend on the, can we get it done and over with so we can reaccumulate everything cheap? Because I don't know about you, but I fully intend on locking in a ton of hard profit. And I don't know about you, but when we get in a new accumulation cycle, I'm going to have more money to accumulate than I did in 2015. And we could do this all over again. So I'm all for market cycles. I love the seasons. I have no problem with the seasons. Right? And let me just show you like the bigger... basically a couple things that I'm looking at, right? And if you know how to trade and you feel confident and stuff, then listen, traders who feel nervous about taking hard profit out of the markets, who don't want to diversify, who want to keep it all in, who don't want to miss out anything, In my opinion, those traders don't have confidence in their trading ability. If you have confidence in your trading ability, you never feel a sense of scarcity when you take hard profit out of crypto. Because, like, you know, it replenishes itself. It keeps growing. It's not like, oh, this is a permanent static event and you'll never see those crypto coffers replenished. In fact, I would dare say that taking hard profit out of the market will make you an even better trader, because you'll be able to make better trading decisions without a lot of emotional baggage, in my opinion, right? You'll be able to sleep well at night. You're not going to have these, you know. So anyway, so a couple things will happen for my targets. I always talk in probabilities and possibilities. There are no hard facts. There's nothing guaranteed, right? So a big if, but I'd probably start in from about 3,700, start selling some Bitcoin from about 3,700 up to the 4,000 area, sell into strength. And if it goes higher, then so be it, right? I'll have cash. I can find a new trade setup, right? I might leave a little bit run in case it wants to go higher. Maybe it pushes to 5,000. Who knows? Maybe we get one last little, who knows, right? Maybe it falls short. So that's one target. Another target is, let's say we were to start to make a nice trend line over the next few weeks, like similar to this, this, and this. And then let's say we break down below that trend line. So let's say we don't quite make it up there. Let's say we go up to like 35 or 36 and you know, break down from that bull channel if we get one. Then that'll be another exit for me, right? That'll be another exit, right? So whichever comes first, a breakdown of the immediate future potential bull channel trend line, like we've seen here and here, or hitting those targets, right? Or maybe a little bit of both. You know, maybe scale out some, maybe there, blah blah blah. Those are, you know, exit one, possible exit two, and the third, to manage risk management exit strategy, is obviously if this whole thing flops for whatever reason and we break down below this immediate ascending trend line, then maybe we all just get faked out, and then that would be cause for reducing one's position size and an exit, with the goal, of course, of buying in some more blood in a dip somewhere else, right? So let's just look at the bigger picture now. And listen, you know, I say I'm going to clean up most of my alt bags because I still have a lot of alt bags, right? I'm still well diversified. Did I reduce my position size because of wanting to get it down to a comfortable level? Yes, I absolutely did, because I realized that my 50% of my entire portfolio consisted of mid caps. And I said, if this head and shoulders does break down, I don't think I'd feel comfortable and losing that much money on these mid caps or low, you know, all these altcoins bleeding that hard, right? So I had to get that down to a level that was more comfortable for me, while not going all out, so that I still have lots of fuel left to make some money, right? To sell into strength at higher levels. But I'll tell you, I do not want to be holding a wide range of diversified crypto bags once we hit the bear trend. I don't want to do that. I want to consolidate into fiat and a couple of gems as investment that I'm going to have very strong hands on, that I'm not going to sell no matter what. And that's it. It's going to be simple. I'm going to keep it really simple for the bear trend, folks. I'm going to stick to a few liquid markets. I'm going to buy bloody dips wherever there's some blood for bounce plays. I'm going to have shorter targets. Instead of having these big, like, oh, I'm going to wait for these 10x targets, I'll go for like 50% targets, you know, 40, 50%. Quick targets, bam, 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 you know. So ultimately, you know, if we were to play out like the greater market cycle, you know, obviously, like, we hit like some good resistance here, right? So this is obviously not an easy area to conquer, 3,000, right? So if we hit that greater market cycle and come up somewhere around this area, then my major target for a reaccumulation is in through here, right? In the future, I believe that this will be the accumulation zone, right? Let me just play that out for you, how that looked in 2015, right? It's very simple. What? Where would be your accumulation target if 3,000 was the top? It would still be down. It would still likely be at this area. Now, we'd have to see some sideways. Confirmation of accumulation means that we get in a tight range and we start seeing a lot of sideways, right? That's what it means. Right? Just like we had here, very tight range, boring, stable. It's boring and stable because all the new money that came in capitulated and dumped their bags and they're out. They quit. The only people left are the veterans, and we're just fighting over table scraps here, accumulating. There's no money left in the market until it moves up again, right? So I think the actual last final capitulation, like let's say we tag up to 3,000, we come down. I think true capitulation has to come down to a level that's just beyond people's comfort level, right? Too many traders are expecting us to hit a solid floor at prior resistance area, right? Too many people. So I think we need to, just like we went down to 166. Listen, the all-time high here was 260, right? But the final capitulation candle hit 166. That broke down just a little bit beyond people's comfort zone. So I think capitulation could look like 3 digits again, right? I think that there's a possibility that maybe we would tag, even if it's just for like a few days or like one wick or one dump or something. I think we could tag somewhere around the 800 on that final capitulation before bouncing into V-bottom and going into sideways accumulation, right? This, if we ever did, after all of this cycle, this would be my YOLO long hit for the Grand Slam, shoot for the stars, load the boat up, pack the kitchen sink, YOLO long capitulation dip buy. Price will never be that cheap again, blah, 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 blah. That's just me, right? That's just me. And then you need perseverance and stuff, right? And I got pretty greedy when we hit 166. Especially since I came in 2013. I was just drooling over this. I was like, wow, what an opportunity. You mean I get to load the boat at 166 Bitcoins again? Amazing. Now, I wish I had more money back then, of course. I had just started my professional trading career, so I didn't have a huge bankroll to work with at the time. Now, if we hit that, I'll be slamming Grand Slams out the park if I got to buy a capitulation candle. Totally different story now that I've got to experience a full cycle, right? Completely different story now. Anyways, that's my larger game plan. Now, I'm obviously flexible, right? I'm not I'm not married to this TA. I'm flexible. I'm flexible, right? Any other thing could happen there. Who knows? Maybe we go up higher. Who knows, right? Maybe we'll have 2 types of Bitcoins to play with. Bitcoin centralized, Bitcoin Visa brand, and Bitcoin decentralized. All right, we've got a lot of questions about AMP. So they had their tech release, and obviously, I guess people dumped on the news. Yeah, Bitcoin Disney version, and so so long entry here. I think if Bitcoin continues, I think we could see a little bounce play here. right? Like, listen, Bitcoin Unlimited had in their thing, they wanted to have a president of Bitcoin. You know, back in the day of Mount Gox, when the news media was getting it wrong, calling Mark Kapelas the CEO of Bitcoin, I mean, it was a running joke, right? People were laughing at it. Oh, market's dumping. Better call the CEO to complain, right? Like we joke and laugh about it, right? Because it was a joke. And so, you know, when I see stuff like Bitcoin Unlimited talking about how they want a CEO or a president and like titles and stuff, I'm just like, wow, this is really a clown show. In my opinion, this is a real joke. This is a joke turned live, right? I mean, I can't support that. That's just my opinion. If you feel differently, you know, don't hold it against me. I won't hold it against you. Let's just trade and make money. Let's not let salty differences of opinion affect our ability to make money. So, obviously we had a breakdown here, but you know, I had an entry here. So, you know, we also, check this out. We also, it's not very liquid market. So we also retested a prior resistance zone right here, turn support. So wouldn't be surprised to see a little bounce. In fact, you know, if you see some blood on a bunch of altcoins that haven't bounced yet, you might be able to find some nice little bounce plays if you go dumpster diving for some of these coins somewhere, right? So I'll definitely be all out and exit out of this and so on and so forth, as I will several things. But you know, things are turning green on Polo, so maybe we get one more round of shenanigans and selling to strength this time, right? I haven't been selling into strength because I was kind of working with this working hypothesis of 4,000 or somewhere around there. So, but if we get closer to that target, I definitely have to clean up all my bags. I don't want to clean up all my bags or everything's minus 40 in the red, right? I want to do it when everything's all green and up and everyone's feeling really bullish, just like with ICN. Right? Like, you know, some people think I created the top in ICN. Maybe I did, but guess what? I guarantee you with the action that we had, ICN would not have been immune to it. It would not have been immune to the big market sell-offs that we experienced. Right? So, did I create the top or did I nail the top? Who knows? And does it even matter? It doesn't matter. And, you know, anyone who's really bullish about ICN, well, hey, guess, you know, now you can buy some more. Now you can buy some more, right? Here's some fresh opportunity if you're really bullish about it. You know, you'll have more than what you started with if you played it right. Anyways, this is selling into strength, right? And moving forward, this is the kind of thing I'm going to be doing. So if it creates tops or I nail tops, I don't care. Doesn't matter that the result is the same in the markets. So I'm going to go for selling into strength. I'm not waiting for confirmation. I see it's green a bunch. I'm going for it. Bam. Give me my money. So that's that, right? And not to mention, I mean, our breakout trade was like down here. So I'd have to say that's a pretty patient trading. I mean, we pretty much nailed that one. It doesn't get any better than that. You know, we nailed that. This was like almost a perfect trade. You know, and the percentage gains was a lot higher than I don't know if there's like dollar. You know, I don't know where it was, but percentage gains dollar-wise is probably even juicier than that. You know, like it's like at least more than a 10x or something like that. Anyways, yeah. So you could definitely use fib extensions, but it kind of broke the charts, right? Like I said before. So I saw like if I use a fib extension here from our bottom of the breakout point here, like it broke the charts. So like once I saw that. And I saw it broke the charts, and I was riding in strong hands and this and that and blah, blah. I was like, okay, it's breaking the charts here from this major major zone. If I don't take profit on that, I'm just being greedy, right? So I'm happy I did. No regrets. All right, let's look at EOS. Let's look at Yo. Where did he come up with these names? I don't know. All right, Beatrex, Kraken. All right, so I hit the exchanges. You know, nice bullish trend line. Nice depth. There you go. Here's a trend line. You've got a working trend line to work with. If it breaks below this trend line, then, you know, probably maybe get a dip on a double bottom. If it continues on this trajectory, on this trend line, then it'll probably continue to stay bullish. I don't have any. You know, and if it continues on its trajectory, then I don't know. Let's just do that. Then, you know, maybe pushes up into this area right here. You know, so could be interesting. So, you know, if one wanted to long it, if one didn't have one, and one wanted to long it, because if Bitcoin goes up, since everything's correlated, we'll probably see a lot of things rallying. Long term, year-long ICO in terms of game theory, I don't know. I have to look into it more and research the fundamentals more. Let's see here. So, oops. All right, if I were to treat this like a trade and I were to buy a dip on this, I'm not going to. That's just me. I'm not going to. But I'm not saying it's not a good trade. If I were to do it, you know, buy a dip here, cut out on the ascending trend line, 16%, and I'd maybe set a target at the golden ratio, 1.618%, basically giving a risk to reward of 14-1 because it's in a liquid coin. And that's kind of, if I were to just treat it like a measured move trade, that's kind of what I would do. And that's that. Or if you were really bullish on it, you don't necessarily have to cut it out. You could cost average down on the double bottom, blah, blah, blah. So that's what I do for you. So that would be my TA on it. I'm not taking that trade, but, you know, if you're bullish and you liked it and so on and so forth and you wanted to trade, that's kind of what I would lean towards. Looking at Litecoin. Obviously, Litecoin's getting pretty bullish. Little cup and handle formation here. So, you know, there's an obvious breakout zone. You know, maybe one can say that there's kind of like a breakout zone over here. This is also like why I don't just short things willy-nilly. When unless there's like actual confirmation of a bear trend. Like I see some people just like randomly shorting Litecoin or whatever, and you know now they're probably wrecked. You know, I mean, imagine taking a 20% hit on a short. A little bit of leverage, and that's called liquidation. So, you know, shorting is for when the bear trend is actually confirmed. Unless you're doing like just quick little moves, right? If you want to do like quick little moves like this or whatever, then sure. But, you know, I'll be definitely putting on my shorting goggles on when we're confirmed bear trend, right? Definitely confirmed. So otherwise, you know, if I were to just kind of extend this out, you know, there's possibility of you know, another possible trade here. You know, it's maybe making another leg up. If it completes that, then Maybe Litecoin goes up to like a nice round 4. Sounds like a good emotional number. 0.04. You know, where would that take us in the dollar charts? Well, let's see. I mean, that would take us to like a nice round 75 bucks. Probably the highest it's ever been. Nice round emotional number. If it were to continue on its trajectory. We got a little trend line there on the dollar charts. Trend is intact. I wouldn't even say this trend has gone parabolic yet. So that's you know, I mean that would be like a next target, but obviously we see how highly correlated everything is to Bitcoin, right? So that's why you know, I'll play the altcoins, I'll look at the altcoins, I'll do TA for each altcoin, but ultimately if the Bitcoin trend fails, then I say the dumpster is going to get torched, right? We've seen how much these altcoins bleed. So when Bitcoin dumps, Bitcoin will dump 20%. Altcoins will you know, torching the dumpster minus 50%. You know, so it's like that, right? So you can take whatever altcoin trades you want, and we're probably if Bitcoin continues on its trajectory right now, and it looks like it's creating continuation patterns. Like when I look at it on the 1 hour, it's creating like, you know, bullish consolidation continuation patterns, like just flagging type of thing, you know, bull pennant, bull flag type of formation. This looks like a fresh bull trend just getting started, just getting legs, right? That's what I see, right? So we could, you know, I think there's definitely a good chance that we could push up into new highs on Bitcoin, right? On Bitcoin. And then, so that will likely lead to highly correlated markets and even bigger gains on a lot of altcoins. So, you know, if there's a particular altcoin that you like and you want to be in to ride a wave, whether it be a mid cap, a low cap, a high cap, or whatever, then, you know, perhaps instead of dealing specifically with it as an accumulation play, maybe deal with it specifically as a trade, and then have an exit target, just as, you know, just as you would on Bitcoin. And here's the thing, folks. Let's say I sell my you know, my trading capital, my Bitcoin. Weren't you saying if BTC pushes new highs, cut alt bags? I said when Bitcoin hits my targets between 37 to 30 or 3,700 to 4,000, cut out all of my alt bags, like once it hits the targets. But because the markets are correlated, I see all altcoins going up right now. Now, if the markets were inversely correlated, like in 2016, then I'd say, yeah, Bitcoin's making a move up, get the heck out of altcoins, right? But since they're all correlated, Bitcoin's making a move up, you know, take some altcoin trades. That's the way I see it. So I haven't had a chance to look at all the markets, but I'm probably going to take a peek. And I would just say, like, what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to just send out a bunch of trailers for altcoins. I'd say, like, you know, everyone should have a general idea of what I look at. You know, look at the trend lines, look at the extensions. If there's a particular coin or market that you like and you want to be in, then you know, take the trade, have your exits, and that's that. The reason why I'm not going to send a round of trade alerts on various markets is I think a lot of them are going to be going up if Bitcoin continues on its trajectory, and I don't want to create like mass hysteria when I close out targets on particular coins. So on this round, I'm going to take a middle path, and I'm going to say, you know, if you see something that looks bullish and you want to go into it, then, you know, pull the trigger and make your own trading decision on this, right? You know, for the most part, I will share my trade alerts and targets and my plan and strategy. And there has to be some points in time in the markets where I give people some room to just make their own decisions. And I assume that everyone is making their own decisions because I'm not a financial advisor. And, sometimes I can be wrong. And ultimately, the whole point of crypto and trading is for everyone to make their own trading decisions. So, if you've been with us for a while and you don't know how to do technical analysis and you're just waiting for Rocky to pull the trigger, then you're doing it wrong, because the whole point is for people to know how to fish and not just completely shadow. So I'm not going to always throw a fish. So I will be looking into certain alts today, and I may be buying some alt breakouts today with specific targets. But I'm not going to be sending any trade alerts for that, because I think the technical analysis should be very clear to people. And if you have questions on a particular setup, then you can feel free to share a chart in the trading room. If I'm not here, I'm sure a veteran OG trader would give their opinions on it. And maybe you find an opportunity that we've all overlooked, and so on and so forth. And that's cool, right? So for this next round, I'll tell you my plan ahead of time. Everything that I'm in, if we hit between 3,700 to 4,000, I'm going out of everything except for half my Ethereum Classic, 100% on my co-founded, and 20% on my Bitcoin, which will be long-term investments. Everything out, I'm going to be down to zero. And I don't care if I sell the top or whatever. I am clearing out my bags. I'm consolidating. Right? I'm consolidating. And I'm going to, and from that point on, even if the market goes up, and let's say Bitcoin goes to 5,000, or let's say, crazy things happen and we get new trades, I'll still take the trades, but it will be with the goal of accumulating fiat and not crypto and not Bitcoin. So I'll still take specific trade setups if I see them, but it'll be like I have X amount of dollars in my trading account. If there's another breakout and pushes higher, I'll long that as a new trade. I'll have a target to get X amount more dollars. Where it's a whole different game plan than 2015 and 16, which is like trade to get more Bitcoin, trade to get more Bitcoin, I don't care about the dollar price. Just give me more Bitcoin, more Bitcoin, more Bitcoin. Now if moving forward, it's going to be all about the dollars. Give me that fiat, right? More fiat, more dollars. And ultimately, I'm doing that not because I'm a big, huge banking shill or whatever, but because I love crypto so much that I want more of it in the next accumulation cycle. And the only way I'm going to get more of it is if I have more cash to buy more of it. So that's my reasoning. I'm thinking several steps ahead. I'm not, what exchange do I keep cash on? I spread it out. I trade on Poloniex, Bittrex, Quadriga CX, Bitfinex, Kraken, and BitMEX. Those 6 exchanges, I spread it out. And I pull hard profit out of the markets into the old bank account as well. Right? So if one exchange gets hacked, hey, I'm not out of the game, right? I still got other exchanges to roll on. So it's just don't keep it all in one exchange. Diversify some of that risk, right? Counterparty risk. Also, investment portfolio at 20% of Bitcoin, the 50% of my ETC, the CFI, like that just stays on a hardware wallet. And that just doesn't go anywhere. So that stays offline, doesn't even touch the exchanges until, that Bitcoin, that 20%, I'm probably never going to sell. Maybe if it goes 100,000 or a million or something crazy, if we get there. CFI is on Trezor. It's on a Trezor. You could use my Ether wallet as a token for CFI. And those are just going to sit there. Honestly, I'm not even going to trade them. Now, I've got a strategy for that as well. There's a method to my madness. If I start trading CFI, guess what? Next year, if it does really well and I go to cash out, Um, you know, by the time Ed says by the time Bitcoin goes to 1 million, you won't have to sell. Yeah, that's exactly a good point. It'll probably be so stable too, based on all the liquidity and volume, that it'll be like, you know, Forbes will be talking about, oh my God, Bitcoin had a 2% crash, flash crash, uh, like the stock market, they have a 2% drop and everyone's shedding blood tears, and you kind of laugh when you trade altcoins and stuff, and you could see 40% drops overnight. And people are crying on Wall Street over 2% moves. I'm like, come on, give me a break. But that's what happens. You got good volume, liquidity. It becomes a lot more stable. So if Bitcoin ever made it to those levels, and it's definitely possible. It's just based on supply and demand, right? If we hold another 10 years and if it still is relevant, it's certainly possible. And at which point it'll be so probably widely used for whatever purpose it have, whether it's like machine payments, or whether it's like, the new remittance market, or whether it's like a new reserve put in a SDR basket of reserve currencies or whatever, or whether it's just people holding it like gold and having their portfolios diversified, 1% of their portfolio in it, like gold or something like that, then that'll add so much stability and liquidity to it, right? And we can already see a lot of stability and liquidity in Bitcoin. I mean, Bitcoin's very most liquid most liquid crypto, and it'll have these big moves, but it's nothing like the moves that you're seeing in altcoins, right? Like it's even a big ship just to try to get it to 4,000. I mean, it's sure taking its time, right? It's like steering the Titanic. But compared to like the gold market, which is a multi-trillion-dollar market cap, so on and so forth. Something else. I'm gonna digress here a little bit from crypto, but something that I've been looking at for diversifying, because I've been looking at like legacy assets to diversify into, and something that kind of looks juicy to me is platinum. And the reason for that is because it's more rare, it's more scarce than gold, and it's usually above the gold markets, and it's actually several $100s below the gold spot market right now. So, if I were to look for something cheap to scoop up that I think could have some potential, I think platinum would be a good scoop. Now, it doesn't have that same long-term recognized store 5,000 plus years store value as gold. It's only recently been used as a investment, maybe the past 150 years or so. But a lot of times it's been several $100s above the gold market, and it's more scarce, and there's definitely it's more scarce than gold, and there's a lot of industrial uses for it, like catalytic converters, certain types of medicines, so on and so forth. I would just say, find a bullion exchange, maybe locally in your country, where you could potentially buy with some Bitcoin. Would be the best bets. And if not, you're always better to buy local. You're going to get it faster. You're not going to have to deal with customs and all that stuff, right? So wherever country you're at, try to find something that's reputable in your local area if you're interested in playing that game. So Ethereum Classic, I'll just talk about ETC, and then we'll talk about that as well. So big bull pennant, it's still holding. If we break it, then target. If it correlates with Bitcoin, then target for selling half my ETC bags, and that will be my final target for now. Will be at the 1,500 mark, and that'll probably be double the fiat value or higher. Maybe that takes the price to like 40 or 50 bucks. And I'd sell half my ETC. The rest I'll keep as an investment. And if that ever goes up to 400 or something stupid, then who cares? I'll just hold it and I'll have fun with it, and that's it. But anyways, breakout point if you don't have any. This descending trend line here. Cutoff points, very similar to Bitcoin. If it breaks down, I mean, I would probably still be patient with it. But if we could just get this trajectory going, then I'll sell half my ETC bags up here. That'll be a nice chunk of change. And then I'll have more Bitcoin to liquidate. Basically, also, like, everything that all that mid-cap altcoin cleanup that I did the other day, all of that was consolidated into Bitcoin, by the way. So kind of added a little more fuel. And those could probably make even more aggressive percentage gains in Bitcoin. But, the higher you go, it's time to start thinking about risk management and the greater market cycles. Now, is it possible the markets could go up higher than my targets? Of course it is. Is it possible that we don't hit the targets, we hit the bear trend sooner? Yeah, that's also possible. You have to entertain both sides. What I think is improbable, though, is, there's a lot of new money on Twitter, over the weekend. People trying to argue, saying, oh, no, this time is different. We're not going to have market cycles. We won't have a bear trend again. It's just going to keep on going up and up. And my thing is that, we'll go to 10,000. Maybe we'll go to 10,000. Who knows? Maybe we go to 20. But let me just say this. The faster we go up and the higher we go up, the harder we're going to fall, the bigger the corrections are, in my opinion. Right? So, and as traders and investors, we want the market cycles, folks. Without these natural market cycles, I mean, like, when are we going to get to reaccumulate again? How boring will that be if it just keeps on going up and up and up and all you do is just, like, ride bags forever? I think there's more money to be made in the market cycles, right? So if we go up even to 10,000, then holy smokes, maybe we get a correction from 10,000 to 5,000. Imagine the bounce play. Imagine the chaos, right? So, but ultimately, I think that it comes from a place of fear. For people who bought Bitcoin much higher, like, for example, if someone was completely new and they loaded the boat at, $2,500 Bitcoin and that's their entry, then those people are highly emotionally invested in not having a bear trend, because a bear trend will likely lead to prices lower than that. Could take a while, but, like I said, in the greater market cycle, I wouldn't be surprised to see an accumulation floor around the 12 to 1300 area. Prior resistance turns support in the greater market cycles, right? So, there definitely some emotional attachment there. Myself, I'm actually not very emotionally attached whatsoever. I mean, it could continue going bullish and I'll still be happy, right? And it could go bearish and I'll still be happy. I don't care. The goal is just to trade it and make more money regardless and be flexible and not be too attached. And if I'm wrong and it goes up beyond 4,000, goes to 5, 6, if the August 1st Black Swan event and the battle, the final battle coming to a head between the divide in the Bitcoin community, if that doesn't shake up the markets leading up to that, then I'll still be profitable. So I'm not going to lose sleep over it. And if I have to take new trades, then I take new trades, right? Whatever. It's all good. There'll always be another dip to buy. There'll always be another breakout. There'll always be another accumulation. There'll always be another bubble. I don't think, unless we are on that S curve of technological user adoption, unless this is just the beginning and for some reason we've got, $1 trillion waiting on the sideline right now to pull the trigger, waiting to get cleared and buy up these markets and pump us to $100,000 or something ridiculous. You never know. It is crypto. I've seen very bizarre things. I saw Zcash opening up on the exchanges on opening day at 3,600 Bitcoin a pop because the supply was so low and it had a ton of pre-market hype. So I don't believe or disbelieve. I'll entertain all possibilities. I don't want to exaggerate things, and I'm highly skeptical that would happen. I think it happens more in waves, right? I think we still have some growing pains. I think we still have maybe a few more Black Swan events to come, maybe a few more exchange hacks, maybe a few more this, a few more that to happen along the way as waves. But I would say this for anyone new who joined us, if you're patient, the better plan for you, the better thing to happen in the markets for you if you're new to crypto would be a greater market cycle, would be a bear trend and a reaccumulation, because that means that you'll get to come in stealth with the rest of us crypto ninjas and accumulate dirt cheap again. We get to do it all over again, except this time we'll all have more money to do it with than we did in the last round. You know, this time, you know, people will be having tons of liquidity and cash to do it and blah, blah, blah. And so, anyways, that for me, that would be the perfect world, and have another round of accumulation, another cycle before we hit that S curve of user adoption. I think, I suspect if we do hit a bear trend, I don't think it'll be as long as 2015. I think we're getting much closer to that S curve in user adoption. I think we're really getting there. Right? Closer than ever. The infrastructure's all built. We're seeing evidence. We're seeing new users. We're seeing Japan legalizing it. We're seeing more and more countries interested. And we're getting closer to it. In the perfect world, we'll complete one more cycle before we fully hit it. Fully hit the throttle. That's what I would like to see. But obviously, I'm flexible. The markets don't care about my opinion or what I want. So ultimately, if the market wants to do something different and take us there sooner, then let's go. I'm ready. And that's why I have long-term investment Bitcoin that I'm never going to sell. Right? And if for whatever reason, yeah, the next halving, you know, should definitely be interesting, right? I mean, we have some empirical hard evidence that every single time Bitcoin has a halving, you could expect new highs. It's happened every single time, and I don't see that not happening in the next halving as well, because it means there's less inflation. The inflation goes down, the growth supply rate goes down, and there's less coins for miners to dump, and the price has to be higher in order for miners to make ROI. Right? I'll look at one last one. We'll look at XRP, and then I'll stop the video. Well, I mean, XRP doesn't excite me. It's simple. If it breaks down, it's toast. Likely toast. Possibility of... I mean, this is a descending triangle, so that's generally not a bullish. It's generally a bearish pattern. You've also got a little bit of a head and shoulders here. But, you know, it could have a breakout and invalidate this pattern. It's definitely not one of my markets that I want to be in right now. We also know on a fundamental level that... Ripple Labs is selling 1 billion coins a month for the next 4 years. Whether they do it OTC or on the markets or whatever, they said they're locking it all up, quote unquote, except for the fact that they're selling 1 billion a month. So they're basically doing a controlled selling. It means they're going to liquidate their 60% of Ripple that they control. And in the next 4 years, all the supply will be out in the wild. Now, I'm not like a huge fan of the project and, you know, banking crypto or whatever. But listen, now that we can store it on a ledger, if we get back down into gutter somewhere after a bear trend or whatever, I'd accumulate it again and I'd buy some and just hold as an investment or whatever. I'd do it. I'm okay with that. Now that I don't have to keep them all in the exchange, but I'm not really touching. It's not for me at these levels. And that's how I would look at the TA, so on and so forth. So I get this question a lot. The question is, if you go completely out at 3,800, does that mean you're hedging in USD Tether on the exchanges that don't offer USD? Yeah, my opinion on Tether, like if you're just trading with your trading capital, whether you're offered USD or USDT, they're both the same in relation to trading. And I'll explain why. Both represent credit of US dollars with counterparty risk, right? If you've got USD on Bitfinex or Kraken, that's still that's an IOU that they owe you. I mean, if you want to get really nitty gritty, even an actual USD dollar in your bank account is still an IOU. But it's an IOU that's insured up to a certain point, right? If you're in the States, it's called FDIC insurance. And if you're in Canada, it's CDIC or something like that. And if you're in Canada and you have more than 100K that you need to put in the bank, you can get an account at a Manitoba credit union, which will insure the full amount. So, and they'll offer 1.7% interest. So that'll kind of keep up a bit with the rate of inflation if you needed liquid cash. So it's for trading, right? If you're on Poloniex or Bittrex, obviously USDT is what you're going to do. If you're on Bitfinex or Kraken, or, you know, Quadriga or some other exchange, your local exchange, then it's USD. For me, it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter. It's a hedge. I'm hedging into something stable, predominantly so I could either short or buy back and lower on the dips and do that, right? They both have counterparty risk, and that's that, right? And so there's a difference between me hedging into dollars on my trading accounts, which is trading capital to buy and sell back in and out of the markets, versus hard profit that gets withdrawn into the bank account. And when I take hard profit out, it's a one-way direction. Money that comes out of the markets, the crypto markets, shall never go back into the crypto markets unless there's just such a juicy price on capitulation. Then I'd have to perhaps do that. But if I play my cards right, I should have plenty of USD on my trading accounts to accumulate during accumulation without having to pull money out of my bank. So that's that. Is there any way to transfer USD from Bitfinex to Bittrex? Yes, and I believe that you have to have KYC. You need to like verify your you need to verify your ID to withdraw USDT. So, on multiple exchanges. And there is another hedge called X8 currency, which I showed you guys. Which I think is kind of a cool looking project. So I'm looking forward to this. Be like a crypto version, except, you know, backed in a Swiss bank with a basket of currencies and gold, and you'll be able to store it as an Ether-based token, ERC token. No KYC required. If you're just going to buy it off an exchange, and it can be stored on a Trezor and Ledger. That's not coming out for a while, though, so I have no idea. It'll be months anyways. All right, folks, so that's it for today's update.